T. Clark here, and this video is going to go over the AP Computer Science A 2025 CED FRQ number 4. So in 4, just like 3, there's only one problem, one method we have to write maybe, but it is about the 2D arrays again. So 4 is still about 2D arrays, and for 2D arrays you have to have objects that go into the arrays. So first thing is the class of the objects. So in this case we have appointments. That'll store information about a person's schedule. That'll have free or busy. So we have the get status, whether they're free or busy, and the room number that their appointment's at. So that's what appointment is. We don't have to worry about the instance variables. Again, we need to use the .get status accessor method and .get room number accessor method as we go along. Okay, then we have the schedule class. We'll have that 2D array. And again, we might not need to write the constructor, so we don't have to write the sched equals new appointment R column like last year or the year before. We just have to assume that the data is already in the sched, in our schedule 2D array. And what do we have? We have to write this column with fewest, not 0, that was just a placeholder so it wouldn't crash. We're going to implement this, and again, as I go through reading this, I'm going to maybe type some notes here. That's what you should do as you go through it in the blue book. That might help you out, or sketch it on paper. Some notes. So what does it say? It returns the index of a column. So I'll return C probably. So I'll use C as my column index generally. So I'm going to loop through R and C. Containing the fewest occurrences of the status indicated by the parameter target. Okay, so what is it? So we can assume that the 2D array is not null and no elements are null. Okay, so it has all the data filled in for us, and it has at least one row, and there's at least one thing in it. It's at least one by one. Okay, column is with fewest whatever. Okay, what does that mean? So it says when an element of the 2D array sched is accessed, the first index is used to specify a row. Okay, so it's row column like normal. So sched RC. So we're going to write that column with fewest. The method should return the index of a column that contains the fewest occurrences of the parameter target. So minimum. If there are multiple columns out of the fewest, any of them can be returned. Okay, so let's see what is good. What does it mean? What does this mean? Okay, so we have the status and the room number. So we want to probably match the status. So I'm going to match the get status. I'm going to even write it out. I'm not going to say status. I'm going to say get status because I need to force myself to use those accessor methods because I can't depend on the IDE to correct my mistakes when I'm writing this out. I just have to write it correctly. And then I'm going to the room number. I don't care about the room number. Do I care about the room number? The room number doesn't matter. I just need to see if it matches the target. Yeah, to the target parameter. Okay, so if I say column with fewest busy, it should return 1. So there's 1, 2, 3 busy. Wait, what? Oh, column 1. I'm dumb. Column 1 is this column right here, not the first column. Column 1. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's only 2 here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So column with index 1 is the smallest. Or the fewest, I should say. Okay, free, 2 or 3, because they have 1 time in column 2, 1 free, 1 free, more than 1. Okay, yeah. So I think I'm going to go through, look at the first column, look at the next 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 column, count them up each time I go through the column, and do a minimum on that count. Yeah, I'm going to go through the rows. So I'm going to loop over. Wait, first off, I'm going to say my result is an int. I'm going to assume there's at least one item, one row, and one column, so I'm going to assume the first column is my answer. Then I'm going to return result at the end. Okay, before I do anything, that's what I'm going to set up. So result is my column. I'm going to assume the first column is my answer. Then I'm going to go column by column. So for int c, and then I'm going to say c is less than sched bracket 0 dot length, and then c++. So even though I'm going by c, c is always paired with the bracket 0 dot length or bracket r dot length, either way. Give myself some room here. And what am I going to do for this column? For this column, for each column, what I have to do is I set up the I have the result, and I'm going to have the fewest as well. Smallest, fewest count. So I'm going to say my fewest count is going to be not 0, but I do need to count for each row, and that starts at 0. If I'm trying to find the smallest, I'm going to say integer.max. Is that still a thing in my reference sheet? Yeah, if I'm looking for, so max value, all caps, max. So if I'm trying to find the minimum, the smallest one, I'm going to set it to be the biggest possible number originally. That way the first time through, the first column through, I'll be guaranteed to set it up later. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, so I'm starting on my count. I'm going to say loop over every item in the row. So for int r, 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 I'm going to get the count in here. I'm going to maybe count. So I'm going to put this in here and do that. So again, I want to get the result, which is my C value. So result should match C's somehow. Okay, so I'm getting the count. I'm going to add to the count in here maybe if it matches. And then once I get the count for that column, I'm going to see if it's the smallest, if it's the fewest. So if the current count for this column is smaller than the fewest count, then I know currently the fewest count should be that count. And my answer is this column. So I'm not done yet, but I'm saying after I count everything, all the rows, all items in the row, maybe if there's stuff that matches, but if it's smaller than the fewest count, then the first column will be guaranteed to have this be smaller because this number is 2 billion or whatever. So then I'll set the fewest count to be the count for that column, and then the result will be that column index, that number. Okay, so now I have to do this match. So if target dot equals, is it equal? Yeah, it's a string. I still have my normal string equals method. Yeah, string equals, what am I equaling? The item, sched rc, not the sketch, but I need to match the get status. So good thing I wrote this out as a note to myself, because sometimes I forget to get that accessor method. So get status, print. Yeah, so I'm equaling parentheses for if. What do? I just add one to count. So if I find one that matches the status, I'm counting it. Yeah, counting it. +1. I think that's it. Okay, again, my result is the first column, I assume. Fewest count is 2 billion and something. Loop over one column at a time. For each column, for that column, I'm going to count if they match. So go row by row. And then if the target matches that status for that current element, I'm going to count one, add one to the count for that one item. And then when I'm done with that row, I get the count. The count is for that total column. And if the count is smaller, right, the fewest, then whatever my current fewest is, I have to update the fewest to be that count. And then my result is that column number, that column index. And when I'm done, I return that column. Okay, and if I run it, hopefully I get it right. What do we got? 1, 2, or 3. Okay, I got 3 and 4. Okay, looks like it works. Have a good day.